A peer-reviewed study published in the Microchemical Journal found that every single toothbrush brand tested shed microplastics directly into users' mouths, with some releasing up to 120 particles per brushing session. But pick the wrong brand, and what you're really scrubbing into your gums twice a day is nylon fragments, mold spores, bacterial colonies, and endocrine-disrupting chemicals disguised as dental hygiene. For anyone managing blood pressure with daily medication, or families handing toothbrushes to children and grandchildren every morning, those particles are accumulating in your bloodstream with every single brush. In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to reveal exactly which 11 toothbrush brands failed our investigation, including the #1 most trusted brand in America. Stay until the end, because only 2 brands passed every single check, and I'll name them both. Coming in at number 11, Firefly. The bright colors, the cartoon characters, the toothbrush parents grab off the shelf because their kids beg for it. Firefly markets directly to children with licensed characters from Marvel, Barbie, and Paw Patrol. The packaging screams fun and safe. The reality is neither. Firefly toothbrushes are manufactured overseas with minimal regulatory oversight. The bristles are made from the cheapest nylon available, and independent testing has shown that budget toothbrushes like these generate the highest number of microplastic particles during brushing, averaging up to 39 fragments per day, according to the Microchemical Journal study. Those fragments come in every shape: fibers, films, pellets, and sharp-edged pieces small enough to embed in gum tissue. Run your thumb across a Firefly brush after a week of use. The bristles splay outward like a broom left in the rain. They fray at the tips, creating jagged edges invisible to the naked eye, but rough enough to scratch soft tissue with every stroke. That fraying isn't wear and tear, it's disintegration. For families brushing their kids' teeth every night thinking they're building healthy habits, or anyone on blood thinners where even minor gum irritation can lead to prolonged bleeding, those jagged bristles are opening microcuts in tissue that should be healing, not tearing. 70% of used toothbrushes are contaminated with pathogenic bacteria, according to a New York State Dental Journal study. Cheap bristles with rough, unfinished tips collect more of that bacteria than any other kind. The bristles themselves are made from polybutylene terephthalate and standard nylon, polymers that researchers flagged for their persistence and potential for bioaccumulation in the oral cavity. Every morning, your child chews on plastic that never fully breaks down. Fun packaging. Dangerous bristles. Your child deserves better than a cartoon wrapped around a plastic hazard. If the cheapest kids brand cuts corners, at least store brands are transparent about what you're getting, right? Wrong. At number 10, Equate, Walmart's house brand. 3 toothbrushes for $2. The price alone should tell you something. Equate toothbrushes sit on shelves in nearly every Walmart in America. They look like name brand brushes. They're packaged like name brand brushes. They cost a fraction of the price because they're made with a fraction of the quality. The American Dental Association requires that bristles be free of sharp or jagged edges and endpoints to earn the ADA seal. Equate toothbrushes do not carry the ADA seal. They've never applied for it. They don't have to. There's no law requiring toothbrush manufacturers to meet ADA standards before selling in the United States. Equate outsources production to the lowest bidder. The bristle material varies batch to batch. One package might feel reasonably soft, the next might feel stiff enough to scrape paint. There's no consistency because there's no incentive for consistency. Pull an Equate brush from the package and press the bristles against the back of your hand. Some bundles feel rounded. Others feel like the tips were cut with a guillotine and never polished, because they weren't. For people who've trusted the Walmart name for decades and assumed affordable meant acceptable, it doesn't. For anyone managing diabetes where gum infections can spiral into systemic complications, a $2 toothbrush with unpolished bristle tips is a wound waiting to happen. $2 per brush. $0 spent on safety testing. That's the Equate promise. And the bristle tips that weren't polished will keep scraping your gum tissue twice a day until you replace it, which most people don't do for months. You just saw what the cheapest brands are hiding. Surely spending more on a trendy product gets you something better. Not even close. Number 9. Any charcoal-infused toothbrush. Active. Wow, Carbon Cocoa, Dental Expert, and dozens of Amazon bestsellers all sell charcoal toothbrushes with bold claims. Detoxifying, whitening, antibacterial, natural. Every single one of those claims is unsubstantiated. The American Dental Association has not granted its seal of acceptance to any charcoal toothbrush. Not one. The Journal of the American Dental Association published a literature review concluding there is insufficient evidence to support the safety or efficacy of charcoal-based oral care products. What charcoal actually does to your teeth is abrasive damage. Charcoal particles are gritty. They don't gently polish enamel, they grind it away. Enamel doesn't grow back. Once it's gone, it's gone. Underneath enamel sits dentine, which is softer, yellower, and more sensitive. The toothbrush you bought to whiten your teeth is actually making them more yellow over time. The bristles themselves are the bigger problem. Charcoal makes bristles wider and stiffer. Stiffer bristles can't flex into the gum line the way soft, rounded bristles can. They push against tissue instead of gliding along it. That pressure causes gum recession. For anyone already managing receding gums or taking medication that causes dry mouth, which reduces your mouth's natural defense against abrasion, charcoal bristles are accelerating a problem you're already fighting. Black residue. Damaged enamel. Zero proven benefit. That's what detoxifying really means. A 2017 review in the Journal of the American Dental Association made it clear. There is no clinical data supporting charcoal for oral health. None. The trend lives on social media. The consequences live in your mouth. But at least medical-grade electric brushes are backed by science, right? Think again. At number 8, Arm & Hammer Spin Brush. The battery-powered budget option. $5 for a spinning toothbrush head. Sounds like a deal. It's a disaster. Spin Brush has been the subject of ongoing consumer complaints for over a decade. Bristles detach mid-brush. The spinning head wobbles after weeks of use. The battery compartment corrodes and leaks acid onto the handle. The same handle your wet hand grips every morning. A corroding battery in a device you put in your mouth. The spinning mechanism creates a false sense of effectiveness. People assume that because the head moves, it's cleaning better. Dental researchers disagree. A poorly designed spinning head with stiff, unrounded bristles doesn't remove more plaque. It distributes more damage. The oscillation pushes bristle tips sideways against enamel in patterns that create microscopic grooves. Over months, those grooves become channels for bacteria to settle into. Open a spin brush after 3 weeks. The base where the head connects collects a gray-brown paste of saliva, toothpaste residue, and bacterial film. It smells sour. Wipe it with a cloth and the cloth comes away discolored. That buildup sits millimeters from your gum line every time you brush. For people on immunosuppressant medication or anyone recovering from oral surgery, that bacterial reservoir is sitting right next to vulnerable tissue twice a day. $5 for a spinning head. $5 for a bacterial petri dish disguised as dental care. And Arm & Hammer keeps selling millions of them every year because the price looks too good to pass up. Think you've been making the smart choice by paying more? Wait until you see what premium really means. Number 7. Philips One. The sleek, minimalist electric toothbrush that Philips markets as your introduction to better brushing. Matte finishes, influencer endorsements. Subscription replacement heads. It looks like a lifestyle product because that's all it is. Philips One uses the cheapest vibration motor in their lineup. The brush head barely moves with enough force to disrupt plaque below the gum line. Dentists call this theater brushing. It feels like something is happening because of the buzzing, but the clinical effectiveness is closer to a manual brush used carelessly. The replacement heads are where the real betrayal lives. They're not interchangeable with any other Philips product. You're locked into buying their specific heads, which cost more per unit than the replacement heads for Philips's own premium Sonicare line. You pay more for less effective heads because the connector is proprietary. Crack open a Philips One after 2 months. The seal where the head meets the handle has already degraded. Water seeps into the joint and sits there. Moisture trapped in an enclosed space next to warm bathroom air, that's a mold incubator. Researchers at the University of Manchester found that a single uncovered toothbrush can harbor more than 100 million bacteria. Now add a trapped moisture chamber that never fully dries. For anyone with asthma or chronic respiratory conditions, or grandparents sharing a bathroom where mold spores circulate in humid air, that sleek handle is quietly breeding something you can't see and definitely shouldn't be putting in your mouth. Premium look. Budget performance. Hidden mold. That's the Philips One experience. If this helps you stay safer at the store, hit subscribe. It's free, and it means you'll never miss these investigations. Now here's the thing. There is a way to protect yourself from every single risk I've mentioned so far. A simple approach most people never learn about. I'll break it all down at the very end of this video. Make sure you stay until the end. The next brand on this list was actually recalled by a government safety agency, and it might still be in your bathroom right now. Number 6. Colgate Motion, the battery-powered electric toothbrush that Colgate sold in stores across North America. Rotating brush head, affordable price point, the trusted Colgate name on the box. Then the handle started exploding. Health Canada issued a formal recall after at least 9 reports of Colgate Motion toothbrushes detonating during use. The battery casing blew off the bottom of the handle, sometimes while people were mid-brush, sometimes while children were mid-brush. One parent reported their 10-year-old's toothbrush exploded in his hand, leaving him with ringing in his ears. A device designed for oral hygiene became a small explosive. Colgate pulled the product in Canada. The toothbrush was quietly discontinued. But here's what they didn't do. They didn't issue a sweeping recall across every market. They didn't send alerts to every retailer. Inventory already on shelves stayed on shelves. People who already owned the brush were never personally notified. Pick up a Colgate Motion at a discount store or find one in a bathroom cabinet that hasn't been cleaned out in years, and you're holding the same defective product. For anyone with a pacemaker or implanted cardiac device, an unexpected jolt from a small explosion near the face isn't a minor inconvenience, it's a genuine medical emergency. For families with grandchildren visiting for the weekend, old toothbrushes in the guest bathroom aren't just outdated, they could be dangerous. Trusted name. Exploding handle. No one told you. See the pattern? Budget brands cut corners. Trendy brands sell aesthetics. Even battery-powered options can literally blow up. So where does that leave the subscription brands? Let's find out. Number 5. Quip, the Instagram toothbrush, the one that comes in a mailer every 3 months with a fresh brush head and a new battery. The brand that turned oral care into a subscription box. Quip spends more on marketing than most toothbrush companies spend on research. The design is gorgeous, slim, metallic, photogenic. The performance is another story. The vibration motor is among the weakest on the market. Multiple dental professionals have pointed out that Quip's sonic vibrations are barely distinguishable from a manual brush in terms of plaque removal. The real problem is the replacement heads. Because Quip uses a subscription model, you get whatever they ship. Customers have reported significant variation between batches. One head arrives with soft, flexible bristles. The next batch feels noticeably stiffer, with bristles that don't bend properly against the gum line. There's no quality assurance phone number printed on the brush head. There's no batch number to trace. You can't compare what you receive to what was advertised because the product changes every quarter. Unwrap a Quip head and press the bristles against your cheek. Sometimes they yield gently. Sometimes they resist, pricking instead of bending. For anyone managing gum sensitivity or recovering from periodontal treatment, unpredictable bristle firmness means unpredictable damage. For people on blood pressure medication where oral inflammation compounds cardiovascular strain, consistency isn't a luxury, it's a medical necessity. Beautiful mailer, inconsistent product. Your mouth is the test lab, and you're paying a subscription fee for the privilege of being their quality control department. Drop a comment if you've ever noticed your toothbrush bristles felt different from one replacement to the next. Let's see how common this actually is. A whole mouth clean with its cheek and a whole mouth clean with its cheek and tongue cleaner built into the back of the head. Polishing cups, cleaning tips, whitening features. The packaging reads like a dental instrument. The bristles tell a different story. A study in the Microchemical Journal confirmed that all toothbrushes shed microplastics regardless of brand, with particles primarily coming from bristles made of nylon and polybutylene terephthalate. The Colgate 360's multi-level bristle design creates more surface area for fragmentation. More textures, more edges, more places for bristles to snap and shed. Scientists found these microplastic particles range from 8 to nearly 2,000 micrometers. Some are small enough to pass through mucosal tissue in your mouth and enter your bloodstream. A 2024 study in the Journal of Environmental Pollution estimated that people ingest up to 120 microplastic particles per brushing session. Brush twice a day with a Colgate 360 for a year, and that's roughly 88,000 particles swallowed. Run your tongue across the back of a 360 head. The cheek cleaner feels like fine sandpaper with ridges. That's textured plastic pressing against the most absorbent tissue in your body, your inner cheeks and gums. Chemicals don't need to be swallowed to enter your system. They absorb directly through oral mucosa. For anyone on daily medication for cholesterol or blood pressure, your body is already filtering pharmaceutical compounds through your kidneys and liver. Adding 88,000 plastic particles a year to that workload isn't what your doctor prescribed. Whole mouth clean, whole mouth microplastic exposure. That's the 360 reality. The more features they add to the brush, the more plastic fragments end up in your body. I know this list is unsettling, but here's what matters. There is a solution. There are specific things you can look for and specific brands that actually got it right. I'll reveal all of it at the very end. Most people never learn this, but you will. Just stick with me. Here's where it gets personal. Number 3. Philips Sonicare, the gold standard of electric toothbrushes. The brand dentists recommend more than any other, the name synonymous with premium oral care, and the one hiding something inside its brush heads that would make you gag if you could see it. Researchers at the University of Texas Health Science Center compared solid head and hollow head electric toothbrush designs. The hollow head design, which is exactly what Sonicare uses, harbored up to 3,000 times more bacteria than solid head alternatives. 3,000 times. The hollow cavity inside each Sonicare brush head creates a reservoir where water, saliva, toothpaste residue, and oral bacteria pool together in a space that never fully dries. That warm, moist, enclosed chamber is a breeding ground for Streptococcus, Staphylococcus, E. coli, Candida yeast, and even fecal coliforms. Pull a Sonicare head off the handle right now. Look at the connector. That brownish ring of residue, the film you can feel with your fingertip, that's biofilm. Established bacterial colonies that have been growing since the day you attach the head. Smell it. That sour, slightly metallic odor isn't toothpaste residue, it's microbial waste. Every time you press the power button, vibrations send microscopic droplets from that reservoir onto your bristles, into your gum pockets, and into any microcuts in your tissue. Sonicare knows. They sell UV sanitizer accessories as add-on products. They've monetized the contamination. For people managing heart health where oral bacteria entering the bloodstream have been linked to endocarditis, or anyone on immunosuppressant therapy after a transplant. 3,000 times the bacterial load is not a statistic. It's a sentence. The dentist recommended toothbrush. 3,000 times the bacteria. Still sitting in your charger right now. If that brand made you uncomfortable, the next one is worse. And number 1 changed the way we looked at this entire list. Keep watching. Number 2. Crest branded manual toothbrushes. Procter & Gamble, one of the largest consumer goods companies on Earth. Revenue exceeding $80 billion annually. They could make the safest toothbrush ever manufactured. They chose not to. Crest manual toothbrushes are made from polypropylene handles and nylon bristles, the same basic materials as the $2 Equate brush at Walmart. The same thermoplastics that a landmark study found release estrogenic chemicals even when marketed as BPA-free. In some cases, BPA-free plastics released more estrogenic chemicals than plastics that actually contained BPA. The replacement materials aren't safer. They're just less regulated. That's the trick. BPA-free doesn't mean chemical-free. It means the one chemical people know about has been swapped for chemicals people haven't heard of yet. Phthalates, the plasticizers used to make handles flexible, leach estrogenic compounds that disrupt hormonal function. Every time you clamp a Crest toothbrush between your teeth while you reach for mouthwash, your saliva is dissolving trace amounts of those compounds through the most absorbent tissue in your body. People with chemical sensitivities have reported toothbrushes literally burning their mouths, throat swelling, irritation even when brushing with plain water, confirming that the brush itself, not the toothpaste, is the source. For families who've chosen Crest for generations because the name felt safe, or anyone managing thyroid conditions where endocrine disruptors compound the exact problem you're medicating, the name on the box is costing you more than the price tag. $80 billion in revenue. Estrogenic chemicals in the handle. BPA-free was never the whole story. It was the story they wanted you to believe while the real chemistry stayed hidden in the fine print nobody reads. Think about how many brands we've covered. How many promises we've exposed. Now ask yourself, which brand do more Americans trust with their teeth than any other? Number 1. Oral-B, the brand created by a periodontist. The first electric toothbrush accepted by the American Dental Association. The name sitting in more American bathrooms than any competitor. And the brand with the most alarming combination of documented problems on this entire list. Start with the hollow head issue. Every Oral-B electric brush head uses the same hollow head connector design that the University of Texas study linked to up to 3,000 times more bacterial contamination. That study wasn't theoretical. It was peer-reviewed and published in the Journal of Dental Hygiene. Oral-B knows the design traps bacteria. Their response was not to redesign the head. It was to sell you a brush with more features to distract from the flaw. Then the mold. Customer complaint after customer complaint describes black mold growing inside the head connector, inside the charging base, inside the gap between the brush head and handle where water pools after every use. One customer with multiple sclerosis reported getting repeatedly sick from mold flakes falling from their Oral-B handle. The design creates a hole where water collects, and no amount of rinsing eliminates it. The mold grows in a space you cannot reach without disassembling the brush. That's not a flaw. That's architecture. Now add microplastics. Every brushing session sheds nylon and polybutylene terephthalate particles from those oscillating bristles directly into your mouth. Scientists confirmed these particles cause inflammation when absorbed through oral mucosa. Chronic inflammation in the mouth raises C-reactive protein levels, a marker directly linked to cardiovascular disease risk. People with gum disease have 2 to 3 times the risk of heart attack or stroke, according to Harvard Medical School. A toothbrush that inflames your gums isn't cleaning your mouth. It's compounding the exact cardiovascular risk your cardiologist warned you about. For the millions who trust this brand because a dentist once recommended it, or anyone taking daily aspirin for heart protection while unknowingly brushing mold and microplastics into inflamed gum tissue every morning, Oral-B isn't protecting your health. It's quietly undermining it. This is the brand I mentioned at the very beginning, the one that shocked us more than any other. The most trusted name in oral care, the most documented problems on this list, and it's still sitting in your bathroom charger right now. The brand with over 60 years of trust, the brand with the most problems we found, and the one most people will still refuse to question because the name on the box feels too familiar to doubt. What's the worst thing you've ever found hidden inside a toothbrush or brush head? Drop it in the comments. I want to hear your story. Remember earlier when I said there were exactly 2 brands that passed every single check? Here they are. The first safe option is Radius, an American-designed toothbrush company that has done what billion-dollar corporations refuse to do: rethink the bristle from scratch. Radius uses vegetable-based bristles that are free from nylon, BPA, phthalates, and petroleum-derived plastics. The handles are made from cellulose, a plant-based material, not thermoplastics that leach estrogenic compounds. Every brush earns the ADA seal of acceptance, meaning independent testing confirmed the bristles are free of jagged edges, the handle demonstrates durability, and the brush effectively reduces plaque and gingivitis. Pick one up. The first thing you notice is the oversized head, designed to cover more surface area with less pressure. The bristles feel impossibly soft, like silk compared to the stiff nylon spikes on most drugstore brushes. There's no chemical taste, no plastic smell, no residue on your tongue after brushing. For anyone who has ever felt that burning or irritation during brushing and assumed it was their toothpaste, try switching the brush first. The difference is immediate. The second safe option is Bass Brushes, a company that has been manufacturing in the United States since 1979. Bass Brushes uses a bristle design inspired by the Bass brushing technique, the method dentists themselves recommend for cleaning below the gum line without causing tissue damage. The bristle tips are individually rounded and polished, not cut and left raw like budget brands. That polishing process costs more. Most companies skip it. Bass doesn't. The result is a bristle that flexes into gum pockets, sweeps bacteria away, and retracts without catching or tearing tissue. The handles are made from sustainable bamboo or recycled materials depending on the line, with no PVC, no phthalates, and no BPA. Hold a Bass brush and compare it to any brand on this avoid list. The craftsmanship is obvious. The bristles are uniform. The tips are smooth to the touch instead of prickly. Brush with one, and you feel the difference in the first 10 seconds. Gentle pressure, thorough reach, no irritation. For anyone on medication that causes dry mouth or gum sensitivity, or families looking for a brush they can hand to a grandchild without worrying about what's shedding into their little mouth. Bass Brushes is the standard the entire industry should have followed decades ago. This is the simple fix I promised you. Choosing the right toothbrush isn't complicated once you know what to look for. And now you do. 11 brands. 11 broken promises. One cabinet that needs cleaning. Your toothbrush goes in your mouth twice a day, every single day. Don't let the wrong one quietly damage your health. Subscribe now, and if you're watching on TV, tap your remote so you never get blindsided again.